My wife handed me divorce papers on a Tuesday morning, which was ironic since I'd been planning to serve her the same courtesy for 3 weeks. The only difference was timing, and the fact that mine were already signed by a lawyer, notarized, and sitting in my briefcase like a loaded gun. "Ben, we need to talk," Alicia said, sliding the manila envelope across our granite kitchen counter. Her manicured fingers drummed against the surface, a nervous tic she'd developed sometime around her 36th birthday. Or maybe around the time she started screwing her ex-boyfriend again. Hard to pinpoint exactly when. I took a sip of my coffee, black, bitter, like my mood these days, and glanced at the papers without opening them. Let me guess, irreconcilable differences? Or did you go with the classic grew-apart narrative, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows furrowed? Alicia had always been beautiful in that polished, HR executive way. Blonde hair that cost more than most people's car payments, clothes that screamed "I make six figures," and a smile that could disarm anyone who didn't know her like I did. "You're being sarcastic," she said. "I'm being realistic. There's a difference." I set down my mug and finally opened the envelope. Standard divorce petition, no surprises, except for the part where she wanted half of everything, including my consulting business that she'd never shown interest in until now. Nice try on the business assets, by the way. Very thorough. "Ben, I know this is hard." "Hard?" I laughed, and it came out sharper than intended. "Alicia, finding out your wife is cheating through a credit card statement showing hotel charges for 2 people while you're home with your daughter. That's hard. This?" I waved the papers. "This is just paperwork." She had the decency to look uncomfortable, shifting her weight from one designer heel to the other. "How long have you known?" About Doug. 3 weeks, 2 days, and roughly 6 hours. But who's counting?" The color drained from her face. Doug Harmon, her ex-boyfriend from college, now a tech entrepreneur, with more ego than actual success. I'd met him at a few social events over the years. The kind of guy who wore expensive watches and drove a Porsche, but always seemed to be hustling for his next big break. "Ben, I never meant for it to happen. Save it." I stood up, straightening my tie. "I've got a meeting at 9, and frankly, I'm more interested in closing that deal than listening to your justification for why you decided to torpedo our marriage. Our marriage was already over, Ben. We both know that." I paused at the kitchen doorway, briefcase in hand. "You know what the funny thing is, Alicia? You're probably right. But here's what you didn't count on. I'm not going to make this easy for you." Her expression shifted from guilt to something sharper. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you picked the wrong guy to underestimate." I smiled, and I could see it unsettled her. "Have a great day, sweetheart. Oh, and tell Doug the first said hi." The drive to my office gave me time to think. 20 minutes of Boston traffic, NPR droning about economic indicators, and my phone buzzing with text messages I wasn't ready to read yet. My consulting firm, Rayner Strategic Solutions, occupied the 3rd floor of a converted warehouse in Cambridge. Nothing fancy, but profitable enough to keep me comfortable and employ 6 people who actually gave a damn about their work. My assistant, Patricia, looked up as I walked in. "Morning, Ben. Coffee's fresh, and your 9 o'clock is already here." "Thanks, Pat. Hold my calls for the next hour, would you?" The 9 o'clock was Tom Mitchell, owner of a mid-sized manufacturing company, looking to streamline his operations. Normally, I'd be focused on his problems, but today my mind kept drifting to Alicia and Doug. Specifically, to the research I'd been doing on Doug's company for the past 3 weeks. Harmon Tech Solutions was bleeding money. I'd discovered this through a combination of public records, industry contacts, and the kind of due diligence that comes naturally when you've spent 15 years helping businesses solve their problems. Doug's biggest client had pulled out 6 months ago, leaving him with overhead he couldn't cover, and debts that were mounting faster than his ability to pay them, which gave me an idea. A terrible, brilliant, absolutely perfect idea. After Tom left, I made 3 phone calls. The first was to my lawyer, confirming that Alicia's divorce petition had been filed. The second was to my accountant, discussing the liquidation of some investments. The third was to a contact at First National Bank, inquiring about a particular business loan that was about to go into default. By lunch, I owned Doug Harmon's debt, all of it. My daughter Sophie was waiting for me when I got home that evening, sprawled across the living room couch with her laptop and a half-eaten sandwich. At 14, she had her mother's looks, but thankfully my skeptical nature. She glanced up as I walked in, her expression unreadable. "Mom's not home," she said without preamble. I figured. Working late again? Sophie's laugh was bitter, too mature for her age. Is that what we're calling it now? I sat down on the edge of the coffee table, facing her. What do you know, Soph? I know Mom's been different for months. I know she's been lying about where she goes. And I know you've been pretending not to notice. She closed her laptop and looked at me directly. Are you guys getting divorced? The question hit me harder than I expected. Yeah, kiddo, we are. Good. Good. Dad, she's been treating you like crap for months. And she thinks I don't notice, but I see how she looks at you, like you're some kind of disappointment. Sophie's voice got stronger as she spoke. You deserve better than that. I reached over and squeezed her hand. Thanks, Soph. That means a lot. So what happens now? Now, your old man stops being the nice guy. The next morning, I was sitting in Doug Harmon's reception area by 8:30. His office was everything I expected. Glass and chrome, motivational posters about success and innovation, and a receptionist who looked like she'd been hired more for her appearance than her typing skills. Mr. Harmon will see you now, she said, gesturing toward a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows. Doug was on the phone when I walked in, gesturing animatedly while pacing behind his desk. He held up one finger, indicating I should wait, which was perfect. It gave me time to study him. The expensive suit that couldn't quite hide his soft middle. The Rolex that was probably leveraged to the hilt. The confident facade that was about to crumble. Sorry about that, he said, hanging up. Big client in California. You know how it is. He extended his hand. Doug Harmon, I understand you're interested in discussing some kind of partnership? I shook his hand, noting the slight dampness of his palm. Nervous. Ben Rayner. And yes, I think we have a lot to discuss. His smile faltered slightly at my name, but he recovered quickly. Rayner, that name sounds familiar. It should. I'm married to Alicia. Well, technically we're getting divorced, but I'm sure you know all about that. The color drained from Doug's face, and he took an involuntary step backward. Listen, Ben, I think there might be some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding at all. I settled into one of his guest chairs, making myself comfortable. In fact, I think we understand each other perfectly. You're sleeping with my wife, your business is failing, and you owe First National Bank approximately $2.3 million that you can't pay. How do you know about your debt? I pulled out a folder from my briefcase. Because, as of yesterday afternoon, I own it. Congratulations, Doug. You're now in business with the husband of the woman you're screwing. He sank into his chair, the facade finally cracking. What do you want? I want a lot of things. I want my wife to stop lying to me. I want my daughter to have parents who aren't completely dysfunctional. I want to go back to 6 months ago and fix whatever went wrong. I leaned forward. But since I can't have any of those things, I'll settle for watching you squirm. You can't just... I can and I did. It's all perfectly legal, Doug. I bought your debt from the bank at a discount. Happens every day in business. The difference is, most debt collectors are interested in getting paid. I'm more interested in getting even. Doug's hands were shaking now. What are you going to do? That depends entirely on you. See, I have 2 options here. Option 1, I call in the debt immediately, force you into bankruptcy, and watch your little empire crumble. Option 2, we become partners, and I help you save your business. And in return? In return, you do exactly what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do it, starting with ending things with my wife. Ben, you have to understand. I understand perfectly. You're a middle-aged man having a midlife crisis, and my wife is having whatever the female equivalent is. But here's what you need to understand. I'm not some clueless husband who's going to roll over and let you two ride off into the sunset together. I stood up, straightening my jacket. You have 24 hours to think about it. Call my office when you've made your decision. But Doug, I paused at the door. Choose wisely, because if you think I'm ruthless as a business partner, you really don't want to see what I'm like as an enemy. That evening, Alicia came home late, as usual. She found me in my study, working on my laptop with a glass of bourbon at my elbow. We need to talk about custody arrangements, she said without preamble. Do we? Sophie needs stability during this transition. I looked up from my screen. I agree completely. That's why she'll be staying here with me. Ben, be reasonable. I'm her mother, and I'm her father. The father who's been here every night for the past 6 months, while you've been working late with your boyfriend. Alicia's jaw tightened. That's not fair. Fair. I laughed. Alicia, you filed for divorce without warning. You're asking for half my business, and you've been cheating on me for months. I think we're well past worrying about what's fair. Sophie needs her mother. Sophie needs a parent who puts her first. When's the last time you helped her with homework? When's the last time you asked about her friends, her classes, her life? I closed the laptop. I'll tell you when. It was 3 months ago, and only because her teacher called about her grades. I've been busy. You've been selfish. There's a difference. She stood there for a long moment, and I could see her calculating, trying to figure out her next move. You're angry, and I understand that, but don't take it out on Sophie. I'm not taking anything out on Sophie. I'm protecting her from parents who are too busy destroying each other to notice what it's doing to her. And what about Doug? What about him? Are you going to, I don't know, confront him? Try to fight him? I smiled, and I could see it made her nervous. Alicia, I'm a 40-year-old business consultant with a bad back and a receding hairline. What exactly do you think I'm going to do to Doug? I don't know. That's what worries me. Good. You should be worried. Because for the first time in our marriage, you have no idea what I'm thinking or what I'm planning. And that terrifies you, doesn't it? She didn't answer, but the look on her face told me everything I needed to know. Doug called the next morning at exactly 9 o'clock. Patricia transferred the call to my office, and I let it ring 3 times before answering. Rayner Strategic Solutions. Ben, it's Doug. I've thought about your proposal, and I accept your terms. Smart choice. I'll have my lawyer draw up the partnership papers. We'll start with a 60-40 split in my favor, with an option for me to buy you out completely within 2 years. 60-40. That's my company. That was your company. Now it's our company, and I'm the majority partner. Don't like it? Feel free to declare bankruptcy instead. There was a long pause. Fine, but I need some assurance that you're not going to run the business into the ground out of spite. Doug, spite would be destroying your company. What I'm doing is much more elegant than that. I leaned back in my chair. I'm going to save your business, make us both money, and in the process, demonstrate to everyone, including my wife, exactly who they've been underestimating. I don't understand. You will. Staff meeting at your office, 2 o'clock. And Doug, end things with Alicia today. That's not a request. The staff meeting was everything I hoped it would be. Doug's employees, 12 people ranging from developers to sales staff, sat around a conference table looking confused and slightly panicked. Word had gotten out that there was a new partner, but nobody knew who or why. Everyone. I'd like you to meet Ben Rayner, Doug said, his voice strained. He's our new majority partner and will be taking an active role in company operations. I stood up, surveying the room. Thank you, Doug. I know this is unexpected, but I want to assure everyone that my goal is to stabilize and grow this company. However, that's going to require some significant changes. I walked to the whiteboard and began writing. First, we're restructuring our client acquisition strategy. Second, we're implementing new project management protocols. Third, we're conducting a comprehensive review of all current contracts and expenses. A woman in her 30s raised her hand. Mr. Rayner, what's your background in tech? I don't have one. I'm a business consultant who specializes in turning around failing companies. Which, unfortunately, is exactly what this is. The room went silent. Doug shifted uncomfortably in his chair. I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's the truth. This company has been bleeding money for months, and without immediate intervention, you'd all be looking for new jobs by Christmas. I turned back to the whiteboard. The good news is, this is fixable. The bad news is, it's going to require everyone to step up their game. Over the next 2 hours, I laid out a complete restructuring plan. I'd done my homework, identifying inefficiencies, redundancies, and missed opportunities. By the time I finished, even Doug looked impressed despite himself. Questions? I asked. A young developer raised his hand. This all sounds great, but how do we know you're not just going to strip the company for parts? Because stripping for parts would be the easy way out, and I'm not interested in easy. I'm interested in proving a point. What point? I glanced at Doug. That sometimes the person you least expect to succeed is the one who ends up winning. After the meeting, Doug cornered me in his office. That was actually pretty impressive. Don't sound so surprised. I've been doing this for 15 years. About Alicia. What about her? I ended things this morning, like you asked. Good. How'd she take it? Doug looked uncomfortable. Not well. She thinks you somehow forced me to do it. I did force you to do it. I'm just curious about her reaction. She was upset, angry. She said some things about you. I'm sure she did. What kind of things? She said you were pathetic, that you were trying to control her through me because you couldn't control her directly. I nodded, unsurprised. Anything else? She said she was going to make sure you regretted this. Interesting. Did she say how? Something about making sure everyone knew what kind of man you really are. I smiled. Doug, my wife is about to learn a very important lesson about information warfare. See, she thinks she knows me, but she's been married to the version of me that was trying to save our marriage. She's never met the version of me that's trying to destroy her. That evening, I made a series of phone calls. The first was to my friend Jerry, who worked in IT security. The second was to my lawyer. The third was to a private investigator I'd used for business purposes before. I need a complete workup, I told the investigator. Financial records, social media activity, phone records if you can get them legally, everything. This about your divorce? This is about making sure I have all the facts before things get ugly. How ugly are we talking? Let's just say I want to be prepared for anything. The information started coming in within 48 hours. Bank statements showing expensive dinners and hotel stays. Credit card receipts for jewelry I'd never seen. Text messages between Alicia and her friends discussing her exciting new relationship and her boring husband. But the most interesting discovery was a series of emails between Alicia and Doug discussing their plans for after the divorce. Plans that included Doug buying a house in California and Alicia moving there with Sophie. They'd been planning to take my daughter across the country without even discussing it with me. That's when I stopped feeling guilty about what I was going to do to them. The first shot fired in what I came to think of as the social media war came from an unexpected source. Doug's ex-business partner, a guy named Steve Morrison, who'd been forced out of the company 6 months earlier. Steve had apparently been following the drama from a distance, and when word got out about my partnership with Doug, he reached out to me directly. Ben, I don't know you, but I know Doug, and I think you should know what you're getting into, he said during our phone conversation. I'm listening. Doug's been cooking the books for at least a year. Nothing illegal, just creative accounting to make the company look more profitable than it is. He's also been skimming money from client accounts to cover personal expenses. Can you prove that? I've got documentation. Emails, financial records, the works. I was planning to use it in a lawsuit, but frankly, watching you take him down would be more satisfying. Why? Because he screwed me over, and he's about to screw you over too. The only difference is, you're in a position to do something about it. Steve's information was a goldmine. Not only did it give me leverage over Doug, but it also provided insight into how he operated. Doug was a corner cutter, someone who took shortcuts and assumed he was smarter than everyone around him, which made him predictable. I spent the weekend putting together what I called my nuclear option, a comprehensive file documenting Doug's business practices, personal life, and relationship with my wife. I had photos, financial records, text messages, and witness statements, everything I needed to destroy both of them if it came to that. But I wasn't ready to go nuclear yet. I was still hoping for a more elegant solution. Monday morning, Alicia ambushed me in the kitchen. She was dressed for work, but there was something different about her demeanor. Harder, more determined. We need to talk, she said. We've been talking. That's the problem. Ben, I know what you did to Doug. I saved his business. He should be thanking me. You threatened him. You forced him to break up with me. I poured myself coffee, taking my time. Alicia, I bought his debt and became his business partner. Everything else is just consequences. You can't control my life through other people. I'm not trying to control your life. I'm trying to protect mine. By ruining Doug's. By making sure that the man who's been screwing my wife understands that actions have consequences. I turned to face her. Something you're about to learn yourself. Her expression shifted. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know about California. The color drained from her face. What about California? I know about the house Doug was planning to buy. I know about your plans to move there with Sophie after the divorce. I know about a lot of things, Alicia. You've been spying on me. I've been protecting my interests. There's a difference. You can't stop me from moving. Actually, I can. Sophie's a minor, and I have parental rights. Any attempt to relocate her without my consent will result in a custody battle that you will lose. You don't know that. I know that I've been the primary caregiver for the past 6 months, while you've been having an affair. I know that I have documentation of your relationship with Doug, including evidence that you were planning to relocate my daughter without discussing it with me. And I know that Sophie wants to stay here. You've been poisoning her against me. I haven't had to. You've done that all by yourself. Alicia stood there for a long moment, and I could see her recalculating. What do you want, Ben? I want you to stop underestimating me. I want you to stop treating me like I'm some pathetic loser who's going to roll over and let you destroy our family. And I want you to understand that if you keep pushing me, I will push back harder than you can imagine. Is that a threat? It's a promise. That afternoon, Doug called me in a panic. Ben, we need to talk, now. What's wrong? Someone leaked information about the company's finances to our biggest potential client. The deal's dead. What kind of information? The kind that makes us look incompetent and untrustworthy. I leaned back in my chair. Interesting. Any idea who might have done that? I think it was Steve Morrison. He's been trying to sabotage me for months. Steve Morrison doesn't have access to current financial information, Doug. This had to come from someone inside the company. Are you saying one of our employees? I'm saying someone with access to recent financial data leaked it to kill the deal. The question is why? There was a long pause. Ben, you don't think Alicia would what? Sabotage your business to get back at me? Absolutely. But that would hurt her too. If the company fails, Alicia doesn't care about the company, Doug. She cares about winning. And right now, she thinks the best way to win is to make sure we both lose. What do? We adapt, and we make sure she understands that two can play this game. The next morning, I implemented what I called Operation Transparency. I created a detailed website documenting the entire situation, the affair, the business partnership, the attempts at sabotage, everything. I included financial records, email screenshots, and a timeline of events. Then I sent the link to everyone in Alicia's social circle. The response was immediate and devastating. Her friends, colleagues, and family members suddenly had access to the complete story, not just her version of events. The narrative shifted from Alicia's husband is trying to control her to Alicia destroyed her marriage and is now trying to destroy her ex-lover's business out of spite. My phone started ringing within hours. Ben, this is Sarah Chen from Alicia's office. I just wanted to say that I had no idea what was really going on. We all thought you were being vindictive about the divorce. Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. Is there anything we can do? Just treat her fairly. I'm not trying to destroy her career, just set the record straight. But Alicia's career was already suffering. Her reputation for discretion and professionalism, crucial in HR, had been shattered. Her friends were distancing themselves, and her family was asking uncomfortable questions. Doug's situation was even worse. His employees had lost confidence in him. His clients were questioning his judgment, and his personal life was now public knowledge, which is exactly when Alicia decided to escalate. The call came at 11:30 on a Thursday night. I was in my study, reviewing quarterly reports for a client, when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Mr. Rayner? This is Officer Martinez with the Boston Police Department. We have your wife in custody. My blood went cold. Is she hurt? What happened? She's not injured, sir. She was arrested for vandalism and trespassing. She apparently broke into your business partner's office and destroyed some property. Doug Harmon's office? Yes, sir. She's asking to speak with you. I found Alicia in a holding cell, still wearing her work clothes, but looking disheveled and defeated. Her carefully maintained facade had finally cracked completely. Ben, thank God. You have to get me out of here. What did you do, Alicia? I went to Doug's office to talk to him, to try to work things out. And he wasn't there, but his office was unlocked, so I went in to wait for him. And then you destroyed his computer? She looked away. I was angry. I saw emails between you two, planning how to humiliate me, how to destroy my reputation. So you decided to destroy his office? I wasn't thinking clearly. I sat down across from her, studying her face. Alicia, what's really going on here? What do you mean? I mean, this isn't like you. You're many things, but you're not reckless. You don't break into offices and smash computers. So what's really happening? For a moment, I thought she was going to lie again. Then her shoulders sagged, and the truth came spilling out. I'm scared, Ben. I'm scared of what you're going to do to me. What I'm going to do to you. You've already destroyed my relationship with Doug. You've turned my friends against me. You've made me look like a fool at work, and you're going to take Sophie away from me. Alicia, I know you are. I know you have enough evidence to prove I'm an unfit mother. I know you've been documenting everything, building a case against me. I stared at her, realizing that somewhere along the way, our divorce had turned into something much darker than I'd intended. Is that what you think this is about? Taking Sophie away from you? Isn't it? No, Alicia, it's about making sure you can't take her away from me. What's the difference? The difference is that I never wanted to destroy you. I just wanted to protect myself and my daughter from being destroyed by you. She was crying now, something I hadn't seen in years. I never meant for things to go this far. But they did go this far, and now we have to deal with the consequences. I bailed her out that night, against my better judgment. We drove home in silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. It wasn't until we were sitting in our driveway that she spoke again. What happens now? Now you get help, real help, therapy, anger management, whatever it takes to figure out how you became someone who breaks into offices and destroys property. And if I don't, then I use every piece of evidence I've collected to make sure you never have unsupervised access to Sophie again. You really would do that, wouldn't you? To protect my daughter from a mother who's having a complete breakdown? Absolutely. She nodded slowly. I never thought you had it in you. Had what in me? The killer instinct, the willingness to do whatever it takes to win. I don't want to win, Alicia. I want to survive. There's a difference. The next morning, Doug called me before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. Ben, I'm done. Done with what? Done with all of this. The business, the partnership, the drama. I want out. Doug, I'm serious. I'll sell you my share of the company for whatever you think is fair. I just want this to end. What about your debt? Keep it. Consider it the price I pay for sleeping with your wife. I was quiet for a long moment, processing this unexpected development. What are you going to do? I'm moving back to California. I've got a job offer from a company out there. Nothing fancy, but it's a fresh start. And Alicia? What about her? Are you going to try to maintain contact? Ben, your wife is having a nervous breakdown, and frankly, I think being around me makes it worse. The best thing I can do for everyone is disappear. After I hung up, I sat in my office staring out the window, trying to figure out how I felt about this turn of events. I'd won, in every measurable way. I had the business, I had custody of Sophie, and I had successfully defended myself against two people who had tried to destroy my life. So why did I feel so empty? The answer came to me that evening, when Sophie found me in my study working late. Dad, can we talk? Of course, kiddo. What's on your mind? I'm worried about Mom. What kind of worried? She's been acting really strange lately. Crying a lot, talking to herself, staying up all night pacing around the house. I closed my laptop and gave Sophie my full attention. How long has this been going on? A couple of weeks, maybe more. Dad, I think she needs help. I think you're right. Are you going to help her? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? I mean, are you going to keep trying to hurt her, or are you going to help her get better? I looked at my 14-year-old daughter and realized she was asking me to be the adult in a situation where all the adults had been acting like children. I'm going to help her get better, Soph, I promise. Good, because even though she messed up, she's still my mom. You're right, she is. The next day, I did something that surprised everyone, including myself. I called Alicia and asked her to meet me for lunch, not at a lawyer's office or a mediation center, but at a quiet restaurant where we could talk without an audience. She showed up looking nervous and defensive, like she was expecting another confrontation. Ben, if this is about the office thing, it's not. Sit down, Alicia, please. She sat, but remained tense, ready to bolt at the first sign of conflict. I want to propose something, I said. A truce. What kind of truce? The kind where we stop trying to destroy each other and start focusing on what's best for Sophie. I don't understand. I think you're having a breakdown, Alicia. I think the stress of the divorce, combined with the guilt over the affair and the public humiliation, has pushed you past your breaking point. She didn't deny it, which told me I was right. I also think that continuing to fight like this is going to damage Sophie in ways that will last for years. So what are you proposing? I'm proposing that you get help. Real help. Therapy, medication if necessary, whatever it takes to get you stable again. And in return, I stop trying to punish you. Why would you do that? Because Sophie asked me to. And because somewhere underneath all the anger and hurt, I still remember the woman I married, the woman who used to laugh at my jokes and dream about the future with me. Alicia was crying again, but this time it seemed like relief rather than despair. I don't know how to fix this, Ben. You don't have to fix it all at once. You just have to take the first step. What's the first step? Admitting that you need help. She nodded slowly. I need help. Good. That's a start. We spent the next 2 hours talking, really talking, for the first time in months. We talked about what had gone wrong in our marriage, about the affair, about our fears for Sophie's future. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't comfortable, but it was honest. By the time we left the restaurant, we had the framework for a different kind of ending to our story. Not a happy ending. Too much had happened for that, but a mature ending. An ending focused on healing rather than hurting. 6 months later, Alicia had completed an intensive therapy program and was working part-time while continuing counseling. Doug had moved to California and started over with a new job and a new life. Sophie was doing well in school and seemed relieved that her parents had stopped trying to destroy each other. And I had learned something important about revenge. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do to someone who has hurt you is to refuse to let them turn you into someone you don't want to be. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday morning, exactly 1 year after Alicia had first handed me those papers. We met at the courthouse with our lawyers, signed the final documents, and shook hands like the civilized adults we had finally learned to be. Any regrets? Alicia asked as we stood on the courthouse steps. About the marriage ending? Yes. About how we handled it? Some. About protecting Sophie and myself? None. I'm sorry, Ben, for all of it. I know you are. And for what it's worth, I'm sorry too. For what? For enjoying your pain more than I should have. For letting my anger turn me into someone I didn't recognize. She smiled. The first genuine smile I'd seen from her in over a year. You know what's funny? I think this whole mess taught us both who we really are when we're pushed to our limits. And what did you learn about yourself? That I'm capable of being incredibly selfish and destructive when I'm scared. What about you? That I'm capable of being incredibly ruthless when I'm protecting something I love. Sophie's lucky to have you as a father. She's lucky to have both of us, finally acting like adults. We parted ways that day with mutual respect, if not affection. It wasn't,